Max here. Mark needs a few minutes, so I am here to entertain. He'll be on stream in a few minutes to answer your questions and wrap up the week. This is the behind the camera area. This is where I sit and read off your questions and go through the chat, etc. I don't think I'll be singing a song for you, Chiron, but yeah, I have like my little desk set up here. Before I was like on like a kind of a tiny coffee table. I think it's a lack from IKEA. You can see the pile of shame. It's not that shameful anymore. Heartfire. I can't really take the camera over there. This is a beanbag. When did you get a disc? Yeah, I just took a desk from like the other side of the office. Like, I'm done being on this coffee thing. Yeah, I sound low because the camera, the mic is over there, and you know where Mark sits. This is the end of week wrap up stream, Unknown RH, but Mark is he needs a couple minutes. He's doing something on the test that's going on right now. All right, I'll get the mic. All right, I carried the mic over here. You can't hear me. Yeah, you can. Right, Fubu. The laptop fan is going ape shit. Yeah, it probably is. I just put the mic right next to it, so sorry. Too close, move it away. This is a beanbag. A big old beanbag for when people need it. Over there is the other couch, faces the one that Mark sits on. The fan is just loud. It's a laptop with a loud fan. I don't know about a dance, Valdi. I'm tired. That is a beanbag Cthulhu on the beanbag. Ben brought that in, the Cthulhu. It's awesome. Thought I wasn't expecting to be on camera. Max, describe everything on your desk. It's a weird request, Matt. It looks like any office, Salty. Plumbed the depths of my wardrobe. My wardrobe for that shirt. That's right. The man with no screen name. What did I eat for lunch today? Some leftover stir fry and rice that my wife made. It was delicious. Okay, well, let me see if I can angle it. Hope I didn't mess that up for the stream, but this is the microphone that we use. This is the sign that I hold up to Mark to remind him to hydrate. See, he gets dry and when he's talking to y'all. Water. Actually, what's funny is like the desk is a very noisy desk because it's kind of like a glass thing. So I just picked one that was available, but I kind of wish I'd taken a wooden one. Thraxter, Max, how much of your time is spent creating lore? Recently I haven't been actively working on lore. But before, it was most of my time. I go where I'm needed. Hey, Scott the Rock. Yeah, a soft wood desk would have been better, but I just took the one that was open. I was like, I'm sick of this tiny side table that I'm set up on. I was crouched over for many moons. Where's everyone going when they pass you on your right? Well, that's like the rest of the office. Like, behind the beads is the storage room. And there's just like a sort of sitting area here that we rarely use. I'll do a quick 360 with the camera. Alright, so you're probably seeing more views of the storage room and then the whiteboards that used to be used a lot, now they're not used as often. This is where Mark streams. There's Dion and Michelle having a quick powwow. A rare sighting of James Koo under the light there. I don't know if you can see him. Say, yeah, wave to the backers. And, yeah. Hardworking folks around here. Wool Bear, I thought it was the end of the week wrap up. Did I miss it? No. I am just chatting with all of you because Mark needed a few minutes. He's doing something with the playtest that's going on right now of Camelot Unchained. That's very important, so he needed me to... I'm just chatting with you guys until he is able to get over here and answer your questions. Haugen Phalanx, we're working on the options other than PayPal thing. 100%. Darkline, you guys have massively more space in that office than employees. Yeah, I guess so. I has backup. I'm killed to get an office like this. It is a pleasant environment, as long as we, keep it relatively clean. Is MJ playing games during work time? But I mean, he's more like he's worrying about games during work time. Well, not that he's worrying. I mean, just working. No Chinese left over for 3 days. Oh, it happens, Strike, and then we throw it out. Tim Mayer. Hey Max, what's your favorite class you haven't played yet? Scouts, but I haven't played them either. So we haven't made them. I think Mark is heading this way.
I am indeed.
Alright. We're going to go into the real Q&A stream here, folks. Alright. And let me adjust that. Alright, we're good to go.
Howdy. As you probably heard from Max, or certainly if you were in chat, we're trying to break the build now. We are purposely turning down the capabilities of our server, and at the same time scaling up the number of NPCs, or hopefully people, in at the same time just to see what happens. So we're going to be doing that for a little bit. Then we're going to go the opposite way, where we're going to turn up the way our servers are configured and see, what they can currently handle. So it's going to be a very interesting hour or two for the studio. And, if you folks have Beta 1 or above, come on in and see what it's like when things go south. Except this time, they're going south on purpose. So other than that, everything is going really, really well. We got our crash log, we got our incidence of crashes down to what we consider acceptable for Beta 1. I had said 3 hours. As of this morning, we were about 4 hours. So that's 4 hours on average per person before you need a restart. We're looking to do even better. We'll almost certainly, have even better numbers when we go into Beta 1. But that threshold has been crossed, which is great. We are going to be running a Friday night fights again this evening. So we're going to keep the servers up again as we did last night, all night and into Saturday morning. We'll look at how things ran. If they ran well, we will keep the test going. If they didn't run so well, we'll shut the test down. So if you can, jump in the servers tonight, and certainly at least for our European backers, they'll be up absolutely tomorrow morning, unless, of course, they crash overnight. So, yeah, have some fun, join in the scenarios. From what we've seen so far, we're in really good shape. I got a couple other things that we are trying to shake out. I'll let you folks know on Monday, just as I did today, on how the last round of testing went. But last night was awesome. Last night was really good. We only had one crash. It was of one of the home islands. Everything else ran beautifully all evening with none of us watching the servers. They were simply doing their thing. And yeah, client crashes down, server stability as usual. All good. So having said that, let's get right to a Q&A. Ask away. This will be a short one, probably 15 or 20 minutes, because I want to get in the fun of watching stuff that we're doing now, because it is actually fun.
All right, just let me know. John Milligan on the YouTube chat asks, how close is the current build to the general feel of combat movement and animations in the game to what you would like it to be for launch?
Nowhere near there yet. We've certainly improved the animations. We've improved the animation system. Not there yet. In terms of the abilities themselves, these are all placeholder abilities, meaning that we're going to be tweaking, we're going to be trashing all the abilities and using the components of them and giving them to you folks to make real abilities. So, I can say that this is not the abilities you'll have in the game, because you'll be making them yourself. In terms of the overall feel, I think we're getting there. I think when you look at how movement feels, forget that the animations aren't finished yet, but if you look at how smooth it is, if you look at frame rate, if you look at the things that really have to work right, some of the things are working very, very nicely. Frame rate, for one, has been outstanding. As you folks have seen from my video, couldn't be better. I mean, well, it could always be better, but it's still awesome. And the video I filmed last week already has been surpassed by updated versions, which got more FPS. So, yeah, that's it.
I Has Backup asks, do we have a chance to test other aspects of the games before Beta 1, like crafting, etc.?
Oh my God, of course, yeah, next week. What I've wanted the team to focus on now is the scenarios, is stability, is all the things that are the main focus of B1D1. We've said right from the beginning, scenarios, contested island, scenarios. That it had to be our focus. If we didn't get that right, it didn't matter if everything else was right, because we weren't going to go into B1D1. So you will absolutely get to test it. It won't probably be Saturday. Most likely it will either be Monday or Tuesday, no later than that, depending on what we see from the weekend. We are now getting very close to the point where we can look at how scenarios are running, how the scenario manager is running, how scenarios feel, the timing around them, and go, yeah, we're in really good shape with those. So now let's focus on the other things we wanted to test before B1D1. But of course, even if we get the scenarios in great shape by Monday, we're still going to continue all day testing, whether it's in the building or crafting or scenarios. I promised you folks we were going to test every day during the week, if at all possible. We're going to be testing every day next week as of now.
Olvik says, Tinnis asks, will future tests / zoning be seamless after initial login, or will it have additional loading screens?
No, we want it to be just like it was during our other tests, as seamless or close to seamless as possible.
Heartfire asks, will classes be limited to a certain type of weapon and or armor, or will they be able to play some form of hybrid?
Oh no, we've said right from the beginning, any class can wear any armor, use any weapon. You won't get necessarily the special class abilities. If you pick up a sword, you can use a sword. Well, let's just say you were a mage. You can pick up a sword and use it. You just won't have any of the specific components that you need to make the special abilities that fighters get. Same with armor. You can wear any suit of armor, any piece of armor you want in the game. There's a penalty for doing that. So if you're a mage and you want to go around in plate, you can. I would highly not recommend it unless you're looking for a good YouTube video, because if we certainly have the time, I would love to have the critical failure kind of rolls that would happen to a mage who's wearing full plate armor going into battle.
Adric Cortesia asks, how do you feel tonight? How's the mood in the studio?
Mood is great. We're getting there. The testing has been just outstanding. Last night was excellent. Really, really excellent. Personally, I'm feeling also great. Tired. A lot of us have, obviously put in a lot of time over the last few weeks, but every day it's getting better. I mean, you folks have seen it. It's the nice thing, one of the nicest things we do for you folks in terms of your support. We just open up the servers. If you have the right pledge tier, we don't certainly only say a portion of you. We don't try to lottery it off in any way. If you have a pledge tier, come on in and see for yourself how much we've improved since just July 4th.
Odilvik says, Chaosium asks, it was said Crafter would be a dedicated class, yet no Crafter class appears in the class section. How come?
Oh, because we haven't put it together yet. Having a Crafter class was not promised for B1D1, but we're of course going to have a Crafter class. And that's a perfectly good question, but just so everyone knows, we haven't changed, which is hard to believe, or diverted in any of the foundational promises or principles, because they are promises. This is what we said. We said, of course, something could happen, and we would change them. But our intent was from the beginning, and still is, to make the game that you folks, wanted us to make years ago. And as you can see in the testing now, we're really getting there. We are absolutely getting there.
Pete Shiri on the YouTube chat asks, how long will the current pledge levels be available on the site? Been watching closely to decide how large to jump in, and don't want to miss a chance if they are going away soon.
They'll be going away certainly, I don't want to say no more than 30 days after B1D1, but pretty close to that. Once we're in B1D1 and we start streaming, then the pledge tiers change. It's that simple. People who are pledging now are taking a chance. Obviously, because we have a refund policy, not the same kind of chance that you might with other games, but still taking a chance. But once we can start streaming, then you're pre-ordering the game at this point. You're certainly, the money is helping development, of course, but you're really closer to pre-ordering than you are doing what people have done, whether they pledged 5 years ago or 3 years ago, which is bringing, or even up to January, helping to pay for the active development of the game on a month-by-month basis.
T. Ted Zim asks, for the crafter class, can we make our own recipe? Like, I got a sword design, but I can choose what combo of material to make it.
So not in B1, D1. After it, absolutely. Right now, the first step is all the recipes, all the various parts of crafting require very set, with a lot of, still with a lot of ability to change some things, but fairly set recipes in the sense of you need to use a certain type of metal as opposed to all metal. That's going to come later. But right now, you can customize, but nowhere near where you're going to be able to customize by the time, I like to say halfway through Beta 1, but it might be sooner than that.
Big Dane asks, when will Tir na Nog be added to the game?
That would be telling.
Gamer Bucket asks, was there ever a consideration of releasing the game early with only 6 classes per realm because the lack of MMOs on the market right now and profitability chances?
Honestly, no, not really. Releasing the game early would be, if we were going to do it, it would be probably less about the classes, frankly, than about other things. Maybe not paying as much attention to large-scale battles. But no, I have no interest in releasing the game earlier, even to make some additional money, because that would be, I think the best word, you don't want to say totally dishonest, but it's fairly disingenuous. If we needed to, because we were running out of money, okay, that I get. But to do it just to make some additional money, no, that would bother me. Yeah, no, again, I don't foresee any likelihood of that happening. Even if the market was wide open, it's still the wrong thing for us to do. It's the wrong thing, especially to do for the backers who have been so patient since the Kickstarter began.
Reduced to Rubble asks, how are scenarios planned to tie into the game economy, if at all?
Oh, not at all. They're supposed to be for testing aspects of the game. One of the reasons, for example, if the ones for you folks who've been in the scenarios already, the castle battle, even though it doesn't have destructible buildings, does have the focus kind of combat that we want to stress the engine with. So, open world MMOs, look, they're tough enough. They're not easy to do, for anyone, not at large scale, certainly. What is even tougher is taking a lot of people and putting them in a small space and telling them to go at it. So in the case of the scenario we're running now, that's exactly what is intended to test. By putting 200 people or 250 people or 200 people and 200 NPCs all in the same space, you are stressing out a lot of systems. And that's what we want to test now. So that's the purpose of scenarios. They are not in any way meant to play a role in the game once we reach a certain stage of beta. And absolutely not what we want for the live game. The only thing that scenarios will be good for, as we've said from the beginning, would be for starter areas, battlegrounds, that sort of thing, to help people get used to the system. And based on everything I'm seeing so far from our testing, where we've had a lot of new people come in, those scenarios are going to be absolutely necessary and helpful for people. And this version of the game is a simpler version than you would see at launch, of course, with the ability to create your own abilities.
Are we doing a 5-minute warning?
We'll go a little bit longer.
Okay. A Goblin Hooker asks, By building your own engine, did you save a significant amount of funds for the development of Camelot Unchained?
Great name. No, the exact opposite. We spent a lot more money. Frankly, if we had licensed, Unreal, we would have most likely be live already. But it wouldn't be the same game, and it wouldn't have the same capabilities. What we did by building our own engine, it was not intended to save us money. It was intended to allow us to make the game we were trying to make. And, that's taken us longer than we'd like. But the nice thing is, we don't have to prove that to anyone except our backers. And our backers get to come in right now, Beta 1 or beyond. You get to come in and play the game, every day during the weekend, sometimes on weekends, to see whether these guys who have been saying for years that they could make an engine to do what we couldn't do back then are telling the truth. And frankly, from what we've seen in terms of feedback from our players and what numbers we're seeing from our servers and from the client, we're there. 200 plus people, again, running around in a teeny tiny open-ended castle, doing nothing but throwing very fast abilities on each other with projectiles that track like real projectiles. Kind of hard-pressed to think of too many engines or too many games that can do that and maintain 100 plus FPS on not the best rig or best card in the universe, or dual cards. I only have one in my machine.
Sorry, what was that?
I said I only have one in my machine.
Oh. YomiGW2 asks, player collision is something that CU has that makes it unique from other titles. What was the reasoning behind having this as an addition to the game, as opposed to the typical physics aren't really a thing here approach of most games in this aspect?
Because it's awesome. I mean, if you can do it right, and we have to do it right, of course. If you do it right, it's game-changing for players. One of the things that a lot of teams, a lot of guilds, a lot of groups, a lot of warbands will have always said is, hey, we can play better than you, but we don't have any real advantages. Well, here's one advantage. If you can coordinate your group better, if you can coordinate your tactics better as a group, you will have better success in a system with real collision detection. You know that. I know that. The folks who haven't seen it yet don't know that. It will give you advantages in battles, whether it's small group combat or in, obviously, castle sieges. It's a game changer. Both friendly and enemy collision, if done right, makes it a very, very different game than without. And look, that was part of the technical challenge. There's a reason why a lot of companies, almost all companies, don't have that in this kind of game. It's hard. It takes, it takes both great programming and servers and some, a certain degree of, cleverness to make it all work, and make it all work in a way that, because nothing you want to say ever can stop hackers, because you can't, because there are more of them than you, and some of them are smarter. But in a way to make easy hacking of the client, have absolutely no influence on gameplay. And that's worth everything. And collision detection is part of that.
Big Dane asks, I'm very pleased with the FPS I'm able to achieve with the number of players on screen. On your stream, you were obtaining about 90 FPS with 250 players. Roughly how big of an FPS hit do you anticipate once the graphics/particles/animations are fully implemented?
Yeah, so that's always a trade-off, right? You up the poly count, you up the particles, frame rate goes down. So it's going to be a balancing act, and the nicest thing about it is it's going to be something that you can set yourself. So in the final version, we expect to use more polys, for the models. We expect to have more ground clutter. We expect to do other things to make the game look fuller, richer, more vibrant. But we also know we need controls so people can select, off these things. Plus, let's face it, in the next year or so, if we can improve on the performance of the game, even as great as it is right now, I would be kind of shocked. So I think there will be a very good trade-off. I think this is the frame rate that you can expect to see, either when running on higher settings, depending on your card, of course, or by turning down settings. I mean, after all, how many games really need a 4-kilometer draw distance? And that's what we have. So, turning that down to even a couple 100 kilometers is more than, most games. And, that's the sort of control we have already. We'll have more going forward. And again, giving Andrew and George and Dave and hopefully other folks as well the chance to do further optimizations on our engine. I can't imagine that won't yield benefits for us.
Odovic says, Pex asks, this is probably far off, but we've seen boats for Navy-type warfare exploring and crafting, but will there be air vehicles at some point? Zeppelins, gliders, hot air balloons?
Yeah, flying mounts, Messerschmitts, anything. Probably not. Look, I love flying mounts. I really do. They affect gameplay in a terrible way in most games, but I certainly enjoy them. We will certainly have some stuff like that. Not a Zeppelin. Or something quite, as wow. But I think at some point we should look at different ways for people to get around what will be by then an even bigger world, up to the point where it starts to affect our VR. So, if you look at the things we've said, for example, in traveling between islands, if you have to take a boat between an island, well, that boat's going to take a little bit of time. Now, it won't be necessarily the amount of time, certainly, I don't want to panic any people, that EverQuest used in the old days, but there needs to be a delay. So, could we have some more, what's a good word, fanciful ways of getting people around, as long as they don't affect our VR? Sure, that would be a nice thing to have. It just makes the, game feel, more, again, fanciful or fun or interesting, but not in a way that keep sieges or makes the siege of anything, quite frankly, less meaningful or less worthwhile to do, because all you have to do is hop on the nearest whatever and get there, if not instantly, close to it.
T-Ted Zim asks, can crafters name their own recipes and share them?
Not B1D1, but yes, indeed. That is something I've talked about in the past, and that hasn't changed.
Odelvik asks, you must be proud of the game engine. Have you or the programmers come up with a cool name for the engine?
I thought it was called the Unchained engine. Yeah. So, when you look at engine names, certainly I think they, should reflect what either the game they made, in the case obviously of the Unreal Engine, or what they do. Right now, our engine is the Unchained engine because it, reflects Camelot Unchained and Cube. Could it change in the future? Yeah, I guess anything is possible. I don't know again if that's going to happen, but we'll see. It's always the position we're in is an interesting one, certainly. We have technology that is doing something that, again, very few or no other game can do. And when we, take what we've shown so far, which is 250 people before we start to see some issues like we saw on the 4th, and get it back to where it needs to be, where it was a couple months ago, then it's very safe to say that nobody is anywhere close to us, at least from what we've seen publicly, in terms of the number of people we can sustain, the frame rate we can sustain, and all that. But sorry, I've been talking all day. But you never know, and as always, time will tell.
Shinzu811 asks, maybe it is too early for this kind of question, but will you release at some point details about the server infrastructure and architecture? I'm speaking about hardware specs, used software, etc.
Oh, there's certainly some stuff we'll talk about. Other stuff we won't.
T-Ted Zim asks, how long would it take to claim land from enemy factions?
That would depend on a lot of factors. How... When you look at claiming land, one of the things we've said right from the beginning is where it's located is important. In other words, location, location, location. Claiming enemy land that's in your territory, meaning the enemies have come in and they were able to get some, that's easier to get back. Then if you go to an area that is not controlled by anyone, well, that takes longer. And then just as it was easier for you to claim land in your territory that belongs to an enemy, if you're trying to claim an enemy's piece of land that is owned by the enemy, by an enemy as opposed to being owned by the realm, then it's harder to claim. And that's without even factoring in the various things that people are going to have on their property, starting with stabilizers. Okay, 5-minute warning now, folks.
All right, 5-minute warning. Of course, lots of people are asking if you're starting to zero in on a date for the launch of
Yes,
beta.
we are. I am hoping on Monday we'll be able to give you a date. Most likely, I want to say Wednesday, but Monday could be. Let me take that back. Let's say Wednesday. Should give us enough time, to give you guys a good date. The reason why I'm hesitating is in case something else, unexpected happens over the weekend, just like July 4th. That both ran really well and at times surprised us. So, we'll see. Figure Wednesday for a good date.
All right, this seems like a nice question to end with. John Milligan on the YouTube chat asks, do you typically have a grand plan that you can visualize in your head, toward which you aim the finished product, or are you often pleasantly surprised by how the vision changes as work progresses?
Oh, both. I've always been good at the grand vision. That goes back to the old days with AUSI, and then of course with Mythic Entertainment. That's my forte. Is probably the best word that I could think of. I'm very good at the vision. Does it change? Yeah, and it should. I've said publicly, over the years, that vision is a really good thing. You kind of need it to get started, but you shouldn't be slavish to it. At least not usually. Sometimes, certainly, people have a vision that is fulfilled as intended, but a lot of other times it doesn't work out so well. So I think, in my role, whether president of the company or, lead designer or, whatever, I need to be flexible. I need to be able to look at other people's opinions, listen to them, and make decisions. So it really is a combination of both. I think sometimes you have to be willing to stand against the tide. Other times it kind of makes sense to go with it. So I like to think that I can do that pretty well. And as I've been telling you folks right from the beginning, whether it's BSC stuff, whether it's even the foundational principles, the whole point of everything we do here is to make a great game. It's not to make the Mark Jacobs vision of whatever. It is to make a great game. And so if we have to change things, and I think have is the wrong word. I think if we should change things, then we damn well should change things. And it doesn't matter whether it's because it was my vision, whether it's Ben's vision, Andrew's vision. It's kind of irrelevant. I mean, you know, why should you stick to something that other people have convinced you or could convince you or shown you the logic of not sticking with? Again, sometimes it works out. But a lot of times, if you look at failed projects across, you know, a very wide spectrum, whether it's entertainment, engineering, when you stick too long to a vision, when you stick too long to one person's, or even teams of people, exact plan, again, a lot of times it does not work out. You really do need to be flexible. You really do need to be as objective as possible. And I think that we're going to be continue to do that, as we already have done that for things here technically. Again, not on anything in terms of the foundational principles, on anything we've talked about. But, you know, look, we have discussions all the time about whether, hey, you know, should this, you know, really work this way? Or even, you know, when we talk about the body part system. So, yeah, I think that's about as complete of an answer as I can give.
Alrighty, we're ready to wrap this up.
Let's wrap this up. So, look, folks, beta, alpha, beta 1s, alphas. Oh, wait, before I go. Also, we made a change to some pledge tiers over the last week. If you have a warrior, a founder warrior tier, even though that tier is said that you have, or the tier's rewards for beta, there we go. For that tier is beta 2. We upped it to beta 1. We realized that was something we should have done, and I thought we had done it. We did not. That's on me, because that was something that should have been taken care of years ago, quite frankly. But, you know, with everything else, it just kind of slipped through. But as of now, warrior tiers have the exact same beta entry as the young warrior tier, which means you can come into beta 1. So, having said that, which is perfect, beta 1s, alphas, IT folks, come on in now. Come on in later tonight. Come on in at least tomorrow morning East Coast time and see what you've been missing. We are absolutely looking to break the build. Things may go wrong today, may go wrong over the weekend. It's kind of what we want, so don't be surprised. We certainly are not putting up a version that we can say, oh no, nothing is going to go wrong because we've oversubscribed the hardware or done other things that we would need to do to try to mask any issues. We certainly would love to have you come in and things go south, because that would help us be more ready for beta 1. This is no different than it frankly did back in the Dark Age days, so hopefully it'll work the same way here. Though, of course, how we did things is different because it's not, 2000. So having said that, and as always, I want to say thank you for your support. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for coming into the beta. Thank you for killing me again and again and again. Though I have killed a bunch of you when I moved on an archer, because I am much better as an archer than I am melee. And I do like mage classes, so when they come in, I'll be back to playing them full time. If I do not, let me say, if I ignore you when you send me an IM in the game or whisper in the game, I am doing it on purpose. Please do not take offense. I get a lot of messages, and so I can't usually do both, play the game and respond to everybody. So it is not personal. Even if you're my friend, I may have ignored it. It is just me trying to focus on doing what I need to do as a designer, and as well as somebody who wants to have fun occasionally. But I do pay attention to them, of course, as you know, when I am in chat mode, which I do a lot. But if I do ignore you in the game, please don't take offense. I cannot respond to everybody who whispers to me or sends me a message. I would have time to do absolutely nothing else. So if you do need to get my attention when you see me there, please say it in general chat, because then at least I can see the message, because I do not usually even click on all the messages that I get unless somebody has said something to me first. So having said that as well, I will see you in the game. Oh boy, in a few minutes. Join us if you can, because we're going to be breaking the heck out of things and see what happens. And if not, I'll certainly see you either tonight or tomorrow morning. Again, Friday night fights are back. As I promised you folks, we're going to be doing Saturday night sieges, and we hope to be doing more Friday night fights just like this one with different scenarios. So, it's Friday. It's time for me to go. Have a good weekend, all. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you in the game. And then I'll see you next week.
See you later.